18th April 2008, the beginning of the IPL, and now 15 years later, you can argue that it's going stronger than ever and has driven the narrative around Indian cricket and, of course, its financial might. Now, of course, I remember that first opening match of, the IPL. It was between the Kolkata Knight Riders and the Royal Challengers Bangalore. Remember that match like it was yesterday. You saw some explosive hitting from this man on your screen, Brendan McCullum. He ended up getting the IPL off to an absolute cracker of a start and really helped propel it to the stratosphere, prove to people that, look, this T20 stuff can be very, very entertaining and it can capture the attention of fans, even those who might not be as interested in traditional forms of cricket. Now, all of this is well and good, but did you know that there are actually a few interesting records and statistics from that very first ever IPL match that are actually still unbroken records even till this date? Yes, you heard that right. So the wonderful thing about stats is that they can endure for the longest of time, and some records really do take an absolute eternity to get broken. And here we're going to talk about 5 records which till this date remain unbroken as of this recording. So without further ado, let's check in and see which are those 5 records. The first one is that this is or remains KKR's biggest ever win in the IPL ever. Now remember, KKR had beaten the Royal Challengers Bangalore by 140 runs, and till this date, it remains the biggest ever margin that they have recorded a victory by. And what's more, it's also the 3rd biggest IPL win in the history of the IPL, not just Kolkata's history, but in the history of the IPL. But it says a lot that KKR, of course, are a side that have won the title twice, they've reached the final a 3rd time, and they've never been able to better this particular record against any other opposition. Of course, it helped considerably that they managed to put on a target so big and actually restrict Bangalore to a target that's small, or rather their response, which is that small, that helped them to keep this record, one that till date is still standing. The second one, of course, is that this remains KKR's ever individual score by one particular batsman. Remember, McCullum scored that 158, which did, of course, as I say, propel the IPL into the stratosphere as far as, launching a tournament goes. There's no better way you can think of launching it. And this still remains KKR's top or highest ever individual score by one particular batsman. In fact, if you go back in history, you realize that this is, in fact, the only IPL ton that a KKR batsman had ever scored until Venkatesh Iyer recently corrected that against the Mumbai Indians. So it took them a long time, not just to actually get close to that record, but still, till this date, as is 158 not out, remains by a Kolkata Knight Riders batsman. And you think it's going to take an absolutely monumental effort for anyone to come close to try breaching that, because again, 158, pretty big number. Not often you're going to get any batsman really put on a score like that. So it's pretty massive, and as a record still remains unbroken. But it isn't the only one that remains unbroken from this. It's also this one which is worth noting, is that in that day, Brendan McCullum hit 13 sixes of the hapless RCB bowlers. Now again, this match was happening in the Chinnaswamy, so that shouldn't that much of a surprise, but those 13 sixes still remains a record by a Kolkata Knight Riders batsman for the most number of sixes hit by one batter in an IPL innings. In fact, if you go over the overall records as well, this is the joint 2nd highest number of sixes hit in one particular innings by a batsman. He shares this record with, you'd be not so surprised to hear, Chris Gayle, who had hit 13 sixes against the Delhi Daredevils, or the then Delhi Daredevils, in 2012. Incidentally, the record for the most number of sixes in an IPL innings also belongs to Gayle. Although again, as I said, that should really come as no particular surprise. Now, obviously, these are records that are on the Kolkata side of things. There's some rather negative ones as well, or rather some unwanted ones, let's say, if you're a Bangalore fan. So, well, you have to go over it, right? This is RCB's, or remains RCB's, biggest ever loss in their IPL history. You heard that right. The first ever match, their first ever loss, which they lost by 140 runs, remains to this date biggest ever loss that they have had to suffer. That being said, they have had the rather unfortunate history of the economy of also suffering by a margin of 100 plus runs on 2 other separate occasions. So yeah, when RCB lose, they really do know how to lose by a massive margin, and unfortunately the genesis of it was seen right here in the genesis of the IPL. Again, not a record you'd want to be having as an RCB fan, but as I said, you have to take the good with the bad, and if the KKR records were good, the RCB records from this game were very, very bad. And it doesn't end there. If you look at the number of runs that RCB scored on that day, they were all out for 82. Again, hardly an ideal number as far as, if you're chasing 200 plus, if you're bundled out for 80 odd runs, it's really a dominating, crushing victory for the other team. And till this date, this remains the lowest ever score that RCB have put on in, of course, their home stadium, the M. Chinnaswamy in Bangalore. Unfortunately for them, it's also their 5th lowest ever IPL total. You think this would probably be the lowest, but no, it's not. It is their 5th lowest total in the IPL. Their lowest, of course, was another one that came against the Kolkata Knight Riders, 49 runs. So they've actually suffered a worse loss than in the one in the opening game. But these are the 5 records that still stand the test of time as far as that first ever IPL game is concerned. Thank you guys so much for joining us on this video. If you enjoyed it, please don't forget to like it, share it with your friends, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, tap the bell icon, leave us a comment, follow us on Instagram, Twitter and Facebook, and don't forget to download the SportsTak app as well. Plus, if you're already on the channel, go ahead, check out some other videos that we've done. For now, from my side, goodbye.